The following is a special presentation of high school sports. It's the High School Coaches Show. Here's your host, Justin Kenny.
Welcome in, everyone, to another season of the High School Coaches Show, presented by Crumbach Chevrolet. I'm Justin Kenny here with DC Hendricks, kicking the season off right. Welcome back, DC. He's got to swing the mic over.
Yes, very excited, man. Let's go. High school football season.
Let's do it, man. It's been a minute. It's been since March.
They let us back in again.
Oh, it's crazy. Our key fob continues to work here at this establishment.
I don't understand. I'll never understand it, but hey, I'll take it.
Back for year 3 to talk some high school football leading into week 1 coming up on Friday. Scrimmages behind us. It's so difficult, as we'll talk to some coaches here about what you take out of scrimmages. Things that look great, should you be positive about those? Things that look horrible, should you overthink those? So plenty of things to take out of scrimmages last week. And what do you do with them? Every coach is different, and we're going to talk to some coaches here in just a few seconds. Coach Grant Moser, South Adams Starfires, will join us later on about 6:15. Luke Amstutz, head coach of the East Noble Knights, will come on with us. And then about 6:30, defending state champion Bishop Dwenger Saints coach Jason Garrett will join us as we lead into Tin Caps baseball pregame show about 6:45. Let's not waste any time, DC. We're going to kick it off with the creme de la creme. It's only downhill from here for the rest of the season with our first guest, Grant Moser, South Adams Starfires, on the phone with us right now. Coach, what's happening?
So my question is, how many no's did you get before you had to call me first? You get 15, 20 guys saying no first before you called me?
Well, I mean, it was a sizable list we had in front of you, brother. And we thought, well, I mean, I guess South Adams is a favorite. And, you know, if the coach doesn't blow it, then maybe they got a chance. But thanks for picking up. 19 other guys said no, so you're up.
Number 20, baby.
Coach, take us back. Scrimmage. Every coach is different. Every team is different. When you see your group on the field on a Friday night, I guess probably the biggest thing is they actually get to hit some other people as opposed to themselves. But what did you learn about your team last Friday?
Yeah, and you never want to get too high or too low following a scrimmage with what you see. The biggest thing for us was getting our backup quarterback, Aiden Warner, sophomore kid, who's going to be starting week 1 for us. That's Arnold Skills rehabbing his ACL. Some live action, getting him some good looks. But like I said, we played pretty well defensively, I thought, for the most part, but we don't spend time as far as preparation goes as much as you would a normal season. We're already looking forward to week 1 as far as preparation goes during that week. But I like the way our sophomore QB did move the ball pretty well. He stood in the pocket, made some nice throws, and used his feet really well. So like I said, James Arnold's coming back. He's actually cleared right now, but we're going to sit him out week 1 and hope to have him go week 2.
I guess the blessing with Aiden Warner is you knew this could be potentially the situation throughout the summer. So we saw him on 7-on-7. Obviously, not as, it's not the real thing, but he got plenty of reps with the first team in the summer.
We threw him to the wolves this summer, man. We really tried to bulk up our summer schedule quite a bit, and we ended up playing the number 1 ranked team currently in 4A, Marion. We played 3 teams who are ranked in the top 10 in 2A this summer. We played Eastbrook, who's top 5, Bishop Luers, who's top 5. We played Shenandoah, who's top 10 team. So Aiden's seen kind of the cream of the crop as far as teams go. So hopefully things slow down for him a little bit here. But he's a smart sophomore kid. Obviously, the Warner name's nothing new in Burn at the quarterback position. But he's a kid that we're planning on playing. When James comes back, he'll play a little bit everywhere. We'll move him all over the field. He's quite an athlete. Play him some receiver, maybe even a little bit of running back at times. But he's a kid that we're excited for. I think he's actually going to play both ways. He'll start at free safety as well. So he's kind of playing quarterback both sides of the ball as a sophomore Friday night. But we have plenty of talent around him, hopefully to help him out. I'm really excited to see Nick Stewart back for the first time since week 3 last year, running back. He's a kid that I'm really excited about. He's a 200-pound running back with a lot of speed when he hits the burners. But he's only played 2 games at running back in his entire high school career because he played varsity quarterback as a sophomore. A kid that we're happy with his development so far. So I think he's going to have a big night, too, and big year, Nick Stewart.
Christian Somerset, another guy that's going to be key. Nick Miller, we seemingly have sung his praises since he was a freshman, now a junior. Drew Stutzman as well will be huge for you. I mean, this is a group, when you look at this junior group in particular and some seniors mixed in as well, that you've been excited for several years now about this group coming up. And now that they're here, now that they're really on the main stage, it feels like it's time to deliver. And these guys seem like they're ready to do just that.
Sure, there's a ton of excitement right now around our program, around our community, around our town. I think as far as this football program goes and this football team goes, around this group for a while. But we keep talking to these guys that no one's going to necessarily care that we have potential, that we have talent, how good we can be. No one's going to be scared of us because of that reason. Everyone else wants to win the conference as bad as we do. So we're really trying to talk and preach more culture than talent, trying to get the small things right as far as practice goes, working really hard. We implemented a thing where we try and sprint everywhere we go in practice, and that's really made our intensity a lot more during practice. I've loved that the last year, 2 years. We work hard in the classroom, push that, hold kids accountable for being late, small things like that hopefully lead to winning in football and in life, hopefully.
Coach, when you look at the expectations, and I'm as guilty as anybody saying South Adams a team to beat in the ACAC, the last couple of years, the target wasn't necessarily on South Adams' back. It was on Adams Central just up the road. How does the message change with your guys, or does it change when you are the hunted as opposed to the hunter?
Sure, and I think right now we're ranked third in the preseason in 1A, which I think's way higher than we deserve. I mean, based on our last couple of years, we're 7-3 the last 2 years. We've been bounced in the playoffs, first round the last 2 years by Adams Central and Cherubusco. So we haven't. This group hasn't earned anything. Finished third in the conference in 2017, second in the conference 2018. Obviously trying to make that jump this year, but it's going to be a tough conference. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if Adams Central is to lose, they've had it now for a while. Last year they were champions, obviously. I think last 2 years now at Woodland. In 2017 went to state. So, I mean, it's a tough conference. They're going to be good again with a strong senior class. Coach Kunkel doing great things at Bluffton with that speed he has down there and that running back and Nern at quarterback. With some bigger schools in Heritage and Jay County. So it's going to be a conference where everyone wants to win that trophy. We haven't won it since 1993, so we've been preaching that hard. But I think, like you said, the expectations are definitely high. And that gives kids a little bit of hopefully a little more of a chip on their shoulder, work a little bit harder than they would normally.
Coach Grant Moser, South Adams Starfires, joining us here on the High School Coaches Show, presented by Crumbach Chevrolet. Coach, when I look at your schedule, something that jumped out to me, arguably your 4 toughest challenges of the year are all on the road: Bluffton, Monroe Central, Adams Central, Woodland. Now, not to take away anything else of the opponents on your schedule, but some of the bigger games that you guys are going to have to win, particularly to win this conference, are going to be away from Bern.
Yeah, and the only thing I like about that is 2 of those games are going to be on turf, which I think hopefully we have a little bit of speed that'll help us out with turf at Bluffton and at Woodland. But you're absolutely right. There's 4 really tough teams. Like I said, Coach Kunkel was doing great things over at Bluffton. One of my good friends. We probably text 2 or 3 times a week throughout the entire year. But obviously I want to beat him. He wants to beat me. So it's going to be a big game week 3. Monroe Central now a sectional opponent too. So that's going to be an interesting week 5 game. What do we both hold back? What that's going to look like? And Adams Central, a team that we obviously really want to beat. I haven't beat them since I've been here as the head coach, and they're better than people think. Don't get me wrong by any means. Dallas Waller is a good quarterback. He's a talented kid. He's a good leader, and they have some good young backs as well. So they're going to be a tough team. And like you said, Woodland, I think, is going to be a huge game as well. They have Ben Reed, a great quarterback, and some good skill kids around him to match with that with Jack Wallace and his little brother who's out for the first time. So it's going to be some tough road games and a tough schedule all year, which the good news hopefully there is we're going to be tested going to sectional, and we're in a brand new sectional, kind of like I alluded to with a good Monroe Central team who has a sophomore quarterback back to start last year. So the goal is, I know it sounds cliche, but always building toward the end of the season, hopefully making a run in 1A.
Coach, you hit the road to start the season this Friday. You go to Winchester, a team that you guys have opened up the last couple years against. What do you know about the Golden Falcons? What do you guys need to be ready for?
Yeah, they're better than they've been historically, I think, looking at them right here. Or at least the last couple of years, they've been better than they've been the last couple of years. They have a big line up front. They're big, both sides of the ball. They have some big defensive ends. They have a sophomore quarterback who's similar to us. We do as well with Warner, but he has a good arm. He's a good runner. And defensively, they tackle pretty well, and they blitz quite a bit. So we've been working a lot today. We actually had to go inside here the last hour of practice with some lighting and burn. But did some walkthrough stuff. Our guys are focused. I told them right there during film, this is the one group I've had first time in 5 years where they're really, really into film and breaking it down ahead of time, coming to me with ideas, things like that. So when you have players taking the lead, hopefully something special can happen.
Coach, when you look at this ACAC as a whole, what jumps out to you? Maybe what is different? What is similar from years past in this conference?
Every single year, it's such a tough conference. Now you see different teams take different leaps. Like when I played, it was always Heritage always had a really good team. But I love the head coaches in this conference. We actually had a group text going a couple weeks ago with all the head coaches, wishing Sherwood the legend of Woodland. They's feeling better. Told him to take it easy at practice. Coming back from that heart attack, we're glad he's doing okay. It's always fun to coach against a guy like that. And like I said, I'm good friends with Brent Kunkel, Nico, and Millspaw, high character guys. With the new coach at Southern Wells with a good resume at Southern Wells, and then Michael Moser, a guy that coached me in middle school at South Adams. So it's just cool to be close to those coaches and fun to talk to them before games. And don't get me wrong, it's obviously competitive. We all want to beat each other, but it's just kind of fun to have that camaraderie with the head coaches in the ACAC.
Coach, such high expectations for this team. What's the message to these guys? What's the key to achieving the goals that you guys have set forth for 2019?
Like I'll say it again, it's just got to be about the culture we're setting in practice and practicing that hard, because like I just keep telling these guys, no one cares about how much potential we have and how much talent we have if we're not matching that work ethic in practice every single day and working harder than the other 15 or the other 10 teams on our schedule. It's not going to matter. And then, like we said a little bit ago too, we have some talent, so we have to have guys who are going to be selfless and be excited for each other. Guys like Drew Stutzman on a normal South Adams team with not as much talent as we might have right here gets probably 10 targets a game. He's going to be happy some games where we're going to try and run the ball a bunch or give Miller the ball or whatever it is, and be happy for his teammates and be selfless. So if we can find that, where guys are truly excited for that brotherhood that we try to create here, hopefully things can go our way a little bit.
Always a pleasure, my man. Thanks for starting the show off on a high. It's downhill from here, my friend.
Yeah, right. Thanks for the call, as always, my man.
All right, thanks. Good luck on Friday against Winchester.
Thanks, Kenny.
That was Coach Grant Moser, South Adams Starfires, and some high expectations. And it's always tremendously interesting to me, DC, that two schools within like 15 miles of each other, Tiny Monroe, the metropolis that is Bern compared to Monroe, Adams Central, South Adams, such powerful football programs repeatedly year after year. The last couple of years, it's been Adams Central dominating the conference. Is it this year, the year of the South Adams Starfires? A lot of people think so. High expectations from Grant Moser and company. They'll kick it off this Friday at Winchester. Follow that up, a home game against Belmont before they get into the ACAC schedule. And like I said, the quirk of the schedule, at Bluffton, at Adams Central, at Woodland, three of probably the biggest ACAC games for South Adams, all three on the road. But Coach said two of those on turf, and who knew? He's talking about speed at South Adams. Feels like he can use that speed against the likes of Bluffton and Woodland to gain an edge. So thank you to Coach Grant Moser for joining us. We're going to keep it going in terms of conference favorites when we come back from the break. Luke Amstutz, East Noble Knights, will join us. This is the first edition of the third season of the High School Coaches Show presented by Crumbach Chevrolet. I'm Justin Kenny. We'll be right back. You're listening to ESPN Radio 1380 and 100.9 FM.
Now back to the High School Coaches Show with Justin Kenny on ESPN Radio 1380 and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back to the High School Coaches Show presented by Crumbach Chevrolet here on a Tuesday evening. This is going to be our home each and every week through the football season. Tuesday night may have some conflicts here and there, but 6 to 7 every Tuesday night right here on ESPN Radio 1380, 100.9 FM from now all the way through Thanksgiving. Hopefully we're watching a team or two down at the state championship at Lucas Oil Stadium over Thanksgiving weekend. Before we get to our next guest, the first AP poll, Associated Press poll of the season, came out today. And looking through it, not a ton of surprises. Snyder, as they were in the coaches poll, nowhere to be found in the top 10. They're at number 11 in Class 6A. Carmel atop 6A. 5A has Bishop Dwenger at number 2, behind New Palestine, which is just is a beast in Class 5A. A lot of people already penciling that in for a state championship game, Dwenger and New Pal. In Class 4A, Angola at number 8. Marion atop the class with 5 first-place votes. They start number 1. East Noble and Wayne received votes in 4A. Concordia ranked number 9 in Class 3A. Bishop Luers returns to Class 2A for the first time since 2013. They got a first-place vote, but will start the season ranked number 7. And a lot of area representation in 1A. Adams Central and South Adams tied at number 3. Cherubusco debuts at number 6. Indianapolis Lutheran, the top team in Class A to start the 2019 season. One of the aforementioned teams that is in the mix in Class 4A is East Noble. They've ruled the roost of the Northeast 8 the last couple years, looking to do it again this year. Head coach of the Knights is Coach Luke Amstutz. Joins us on the line right now. Coach, how are you?
Doing great. Great to hear from you.
Yeah, you too. Did you guys get some practice time in, or did it rain in Kendallville? Because we got drenched over here south of Fort Wayne.
It only rains on the farmland in Kendallville. We had nice practice.
Nice. And Coach, I asked Coach Grant Moser of South Adams before you about the scrimmage, and I was able to be there last Friday to see you guys against Concordia. The danger is you take too much or too little out of a scrimmage. After reviewing the film, what did you learn about your team?
Yeah, I think, you're right. The scrimmages mean very little, and, it's a great chance to get a lot of experience for your guys, but at the same time, you can't push it too hard and get somebody hurt or whatever. I just felt like I was pleasantly surprised with some positions that we thought were question marks, and I think Concordia is a good team. It's a good program, and they brought some really good kids over, and I was excited to see how we played against them. I thought we played really physical on defense, and offensively, I think we had just a good night of good balance, and I think it just bodes well for us moving forward.
You mentioned something to me last Friday that was interesting. You said, we have a handful of sophomores that are going to be thrust in some big positions for us for this season. And I think a scrimmage is obviously a perfect time to see what those kids can do. Maybe not consistently each Friday night, but for kids that don't have a great taste of varsity football, a scrimmage is exactly the type of environment you want to see those guys perform in and how they handle it.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest thing about Friday night for us was, we have right now 3 sophomores that are full-time starters and are really good players. And, do those sophomores step up and play like juniors and seniors? If they do, you have a makings of a really good team. And, if they make the mistakes that sophomores make, it's going to cost you some games. But, Friday night was big for us to see, Rowan Zolman, Nick Munson, and Chris Hood, who were 3 of the better sophomores, I think, in the area. And they stepped up and played really well and answered some questions for us, and really showed, I think, we have some of the depth that we were hoping we had.
Coach, you have to replace Caden Harshberger, who was your leading rusher a year ago, but somebody that looks that he can step right in. Jacob Van Gorder rushed for over 300 yards a year ago, but he could be a guy that maybe you miss a bit of a beat with Caden gone, but Jacob seems like a kid who can step right in for you at running back.
For sure. You're always going to have some things that you miss about a kid like Caden, his ability to run the ball, but also to go out of the backfield and catch the ball, line up a receiver. He just, gave defenses a lot of headaches. But while we don't have, one person that can do all those things like Caden, I think we have a little bit more diversity in what we have available. I think we're a little deeper at receiver. We've got 2 or 3 kids that we trust in a varsity game at running back. They might not all have Caden's breakaway ability, but Hayden Jones and Bailey Parker and Gage Ernsberger and Jacob and some of these guys, they have some pretty good abilities themselves, and I think it's going to be tough for teams to focus on what they want to do and what they want to take away, because I think we'll be able to be pretty balanced.
When you have a player the caliber of Bailey Parker back on both sides of the football, threw for 1,600 yards, rushed for 800 yards, had 55 tackles, really a lockdown defender in the back end of that defense. I mean, it's a kid that you can put anywhere and he can excel. And the fact that you can put a leadership role upon him as well and gain the respect of his teammates, I think it's just an all-encompassing type kid that you want at the forefront of your program.
It is. Bailey's a really good player, and he's been a really good player since he was a sophomore. As a sophomore, he started at free safety, and he made great plays. And then as a junior, he moved into quarterback, and he had some growing pains early in the year. But as the season went on, we lost a game to Warsaw early in the year last year, just solely on some fumbles and interceptions and whatnot. And then as the year went on, he learned how important it is to value the football, both as a runner and a passer. And once he started doing that, our offense went to new heights. And I think he can do more than, maybe any quarterback that I've coached, just from a pure, speed and what he can do with the ball to being able to throw the ball and make great reads. And then, defensively, I think he's one of the best defensive players I've ever coached.
Coach Luke Amstutz, East Noble Knights, joining us here in the High School Coaches Show, presented by Crumback Chevrolet. Coach, defensively, a lot of the guys that you mentioned will also be key on the defensive side of the ball. Who are some of the players that you need to step up in key spots for East Noble to continue to be one of those dominant teams in the NE8?
Well, we lost 2 senior linebackers last year. That were pretty good ones, and they were kind of bigger kids and thumpers, big hitters, but they weren't running side to side down the field making plays on the outside, and that's really where we struggled in the sectional against Northwood. Bronson Yoder was a heck of a player. For people that didn't see him, he was an unbelievable player, and we couldn't get him on the ground. And this year we feel like we kind of went with a little bit more of a speed approach. We're pretty big up front with our front four. We got Laith Al-Muhammadawi, who's one of the best defensive tackles around, and a couple other kids that can really play. And then we moved Jacob Van Gorder to linebacker, and Cole Schupak will be a first-year linebacker, and they're both fast and physical. And so we're kind of sacrificing a little bit on size, but I think we're gonna be better at getting sideline to sideline and getting people to the ground.
Coach, you mentioned Brandon Yoder in that Northwood game a year ago. You also mentioned it last Friday to me following that scrimmage. Yoder went for about over 350 yards in that game last year in the postseason. And you said the message was in the offseason that if anybody's going to beat us, it's not going to be through the running game. And you said we're going to take some chances on the outside. We'll have some single coverage on times. And if teams beat us that way, so be it. But we're not going to be beaten on the ground. You guys were able to tie up Amir Drew for the most part last Friday, but it seems like the focus of this defense was to not have a repeat of what happened last year against Northwood.
Yeah, I mean, with every defense and everybody that's listening, everybody that understands football knows that you don't win games when you let up when you're letting up 5, 6, 7 yards of rush. And when it all came down to it last year, it wasn't just about playing one good player. That just exposes some weaknesses that we had in what we were doing schematically, who we were putting where. In high school football, you have to commit to having your best tacklers on the field making plays. And we were a little bit with Bailey being a first-year quarterback. We were a little bit hesitant maybe with having him and Hayden Jones and some of these guys line up on the outside and come up and make plays and be really aggressive. And that's no longer going to be the case. We have some seniors that can really play, that we're going to be expecting to fly around and make plays, and we have a D-line that's going to really make things tough for people in the middle. And we just need those linebackers to grow up a year and play their best. And I think our defense this year is really going to be kind of where we hang our hat, as good as we could be on offense. If we can get things going, I think I haven't had a defense that I've been this excited about since 2012.
Coach, you've never shied about playing solid programs non-conference or at any time. Once again, that's the case this year. You start at Plymouth on Friday, then you welcome Mishawaka in week 2. That's a tremendous program with the Cavemen. Keith Kinder had a great first year up there before you even get into conference play. So let's focus this week. Going to Plymouth, it's a familiar opponent. You guys have played him in the past. Going there and getting a win, what's it going to take?
I think it's as familiar as it could possibly be. We've played them between us and DeKalb and us and Plymouth. We've played one of those teams twice every year for the last 7 years. And we know each other so well. Both coaching staffs know each other. All the kids know each other. The schemes, we all run a lot of very similar schemes. Plymouth is a tough place to play because it is a mirror image of Kendallville and East Noble football. It's hard-nosed, and it's tough kids. It's not a hotbed for 6'5" receivers. It's a hotbed for 5'10", 215-pound linebackers, and that's the type of kid that you're going to see there, and they're going to play physical, and we're going to have to play our best on the road to win. We've beat them 4 out of 5, and they're certainly looking at changing that right now, and then Mishawaka, same thing, one of the top premier programs in the state. We're excited to have 2 great challenges and see where it takes us.
Coach, I appreciate the time. Thanks a lot. Good luck going on the road this week and going forward. I'm sure we'll catch up to you here in the near future.
Hey, thank you much.
That was Coach Luke Amstutz, East Noble Knights, joining us, a team that since the formation of the Northeast 8 back in 2015, East Noble has been a co-champion or the exclusive champion of that league 3 times. They've been beaten 3 times in the league in the last 4 years. This is a dominant program in the Northeast 8. A lot of teams trying to track them down. You throw Leo in there is always strong. New Haven, DeKalb could be that upstart team. Columbia City is on the rise, but until somebody or a couple teams in a year can knock off East Noble, Kendallville is going to be the creme de la creme of the Northeast 8. We're going to take a break. We'll come back, talk to Coach Jason Garrett, Bishop Dwenger Saints, as we head toward the end of our first high school coaches show presented by Crumback Chevrolet of the season. I'm Justin Kenny. You are listening to ESPN Radio 1380 and 100.9 FM.
You're listening to the High School Coaches Show with Justin Kenny on ESPN Radio 1380 and 100.9 FM.
Welcome back here to the High School Coaches Show presented by Crumback Chevrolet. Trying to track down Coach Jason Garrett here. Coming up on Friday evening, 7 o'clock, live from Spuller Stadium, Brett Rump will bring you complete coverage of the Northrop Bruins hosting the Homestead Spartans. Shannon Griffith will also be on hand as the Bruins officially open Spuller Stadium. Looks great out there. The turf's on the field. You got the big Bruin at the 50-yard line. And if you're looking for a team that could potentially be a surprise in the SAC, it seems like every year we have a team that jump up. Northside a couple years ago. Wayne has been that team for a couple years. Concordia, too, as well. When they won a state championship, were really competitive in the SAC. Don't look past the Northrop Bruins. I think a little bit of a spring in their step when you can look out from school and see the field and see the turf, and you're practicing on turf, you're running out onto turf, you got the big Bruin at the 50-yard line. I think the Northrop Bruins could be a team that could not win the conference, but be a 5-4, 6-3 football team. They get a couple basketball kids out, Quaylen Pettis, Elijah Fincher, add some added athleticism onto that team. Big question for them is going to be that defense. They've been able to score a lot of points, but they also give up a lot of points as well. But, hey, speaking of a program that can look out their window from school and see their home field, is the Bishop Dwenger Saints with a brand new field and a lot of excitement hovering around the Week 2 game against Northside that will officially open the new complex out of Bishop Dwenger. The head coach of the Bishop Dwenger Saints is Jason Garrett. He's on the phone with us right now. Coach, how are you?
Hey, great. Thanks for having me.
And, Coach, I guess, you're coming off a state championship, but that seems almost secondary in terms of excitement at this point of the year and being able to play some actual home games.
Yeah, I tell you, it is exciting. Every day it just seems like something new goes up and something else is finished. And we had a special moment on Friday night. We kind of tricked the guys a little bit and told them we were going to start a new tradition on the field every Friday night. Once the lights got on, so on and so forth, we got them out here and we turned the lights on for the first time after the scrimmage when we got back. And it was a pretty special moment, so there's a lot of excitement.
Bishop Dwenger doesn't need any additive incentive to be a proud and good football program, but, man, how much added kind of excitement is there in being able to not jump on a bus and go the mile and a half to Zollner Stadium and come down already suited up, run around the field, do your cows. You just get to stay home. I think a lot of the kids and probably a lot of the student body in the Bishop Dwenger community has to be really excited.
Yeah, I think it's hard to measure. And to your point, so many alumni and people that have obviously behind the scenes made this possible. It's the entire Bishop Dwenger community. We've had a lot of alumni reach out, very excited, wish they could obviously be out here. We've had some guys from the 67 city championship team come out, and they talked about how they, played in the rocks and the mud out here, and they're just they're so excited for everybody. So, it's a family venture here. Everybody's excited, and we're especially excited and proud to be the ones to have the first opportunity to play games here.
Is Athletic Director John Bennett still stressing parking, or does he feel like he has it all figured out?
Well, it was one of the early studies that had to be done for sure, and to kind of explain that, they actually found out we had more parking spots here than we had measured over at Zollner. So, obviously, I think with all the excitement and things, we'll probably have quite a bit of spillover and things like that. But I think there's a good plan in place, and people will find a place to park somewhere here and make it over to the stadium.
Absolutely. A lot of anticipation for that Week 2 game, but you get a Week 1 game this week at Wayne to kick off things, which would be a tremendous challenge for you guys. Before we get into that matchup, want to revisit some things. You got Brendan Lytle, who seems like he's been through the wars. He's that experienced, seasoned veteran, yet he's just a junior, but went through so much last year through the course of the beginning of the season, splitting time, taking over the quarterback spot, then really learning throughout the season and bringing home a state championship from that quarterback spot. He seems like he's like a multi-year starter, yet is just a junior returning for you.
Yeah, I think, obviously the word that comes to mind with Brennan is maturity. And, he's been there. I think things that help him is he's a three-sport athlete, so he's been in that environment in basketball. He does a great job in baseball, and then to be on the stage in football, I think he handles that well. I think he's naturally a composed young man. I think he's confident. I think the guys around him, they believe in him, and that goes a long way, in our system, in our program, guys believing in one another. So, and to go the distance with us last year and be in that position, being around that great senior group last year and another great senior class this year, just helps build his confidence and his maturity. And, he's got the keys to the car, and we all believe in him. And I think he's humble. He goes about his business every day, works hard. So, I couldn't be prouder of him, and I don't think we'd have a better guy in that position right now.
Coach, when we talked last week, I know you had a couple open spots in that offensive front going into the scrimmage, but the three that were locked in, Luke Wigginton, Joe Henry, Vinny Fiacable, I think you could slot in me and DC, and you'd be sitting pretty good with those three.
Yeah, absolutely. There's two spots in there that, center and left guard in particular, and we've had a couple seniors actually step up that had some game reps last year. And we feel like then our 6th and 7th linemen that can rotate in there as well. And so, Friday night will be a good test. They did well last Friday. There were a few questions we had on some different sets and things that we do, and they did a great job. So we're looking forward to the test they'll have this Friday night, and see how that goes. But, two guys stepped in. Good size, they do a nice job in there. They're familiar with what we do. So Friday will be a great test, though.
Oh, definitely. Coach, when you look at that wide receiver core and how deep you can go, O'Keefe, Griffin Eifert, Patrick Finley, Blaine Houston, Michaelito Jr., a lot of weapons in that group. Does it tempt you to change some things in terms of what you do, a scheme, and maybe go a little bit more spread in certain packages, or do you stick with what works?
Yeah, well, I think our run game is obviously something that we take pride in, obviously being physical up front. But certainly, having Michael and our entire receiving core back with Brendan, it gives us an opportunity to get some guys out of the box, we hope. We go back to some of those games last year, and, the teams were not afraid to put 10, at times even 11 guys in the box. It made trudging along pretty slow and arduous. So, I think we have the ability this year to do more of that. Obviously, everything's going to be a game plan week by week, but focus for us and what we need to do. And so, but yeah, certainly I think we have the opportunity to throw the ball a little bit more and be a little more efficient and effective that way.
Coach, 3 of the guys you need to replace defensively, TJ McGarry, Jared Lee, Charlie Howe, were all standout players for you last year on that state title winning team. Who are some of the guys you guys are going to have to rely on to replace that production?
Well, Devin Tittman and Lucas Crone will be 2 guys in the middle on the defensive side that we're going to rely on quite a bit to replace McGarry and Jared Lee on the inside. Renbarger is going to move in from the corner spot. We had already kind of game planned that a little bit last year. Got him a little bit of work in there at the side linebacker, replacing Charlie Howe. So we feel good about that, about those 3 guys in particular. And then we've had some guys step up. Howie Steele had quite a bit of reps at corner last year, and then we've had a young man step up. Another senior, Conley Foreman, will be at the other corner, and then obviously our safeties, with Finley and Eifert. So had a lot of guys step up. We believe we've got good depth on the defensive line. Again, it's staying healthy and getting guys working together, and we just go day by day, week by week, and try to be ready to go when we hit the playoffs.
Coach, before we let you go, wanted to touch on Friday's game. It's a team that's probably circled week 1 since you guys beat them 14-13 a year ago for a sectional championship. It's the Wayne Generals. What do you have to be ready for to escape Wayne Stadium with a victory on Friday?
Well, that list is long. Obviously, it starts with their physical play, their speed, their playmaking abilities. So we start there, and starting with the physical play, it's something that we take pride in. We believe that our guys will come ready to go week in and week out and play physical. We believe they will too. We got to play with great emotion, great passion, and then obviously, schematically, we got to limit their big plays. We got to be sound in all 3 facets. I think it's one of the toughest games that you face year in and year out is that first game, and because you have limited film, you have, limited ability to really know what a team's about, what they plan to do. Looks like they've changed their defensive scheme a little bit to go more of an odd look. So, we're preparing for both in that regard. Obviously personnel. So, it's a tremendous challenge. They're very well coached. It's a tough environment to go in and be effective and win. So, great challenge. We're going to embrace it and see what happens.
Coach, appreciate you taking the time to join us. Good luck on Friday, and we'll catch up to you here in a couple weeks, I'm sure.
Thanks. Always great to be with you guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
That was Coach Jason Garrett, Bishop Dwenger Saints, joining us, our final guest here on the first edition of the High School Coaches Show, presented by Crumback Chevrolet here for the 2019 football season.
Podcasts by Federated Media. Podcasts by Federated Media.